Well, he's not here right now, so it'd slip out. Mr. Jordan.
I thank the chairman. Mr. Werfel, we've been given two titles for this individual. We've been given the title Project Manager for the Affordable Care Act and Director of the IRS's Affordable Care Act Office. Who is that individual?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the two titles?
Project Manager for the Affordable Care Act and Director of the IRS's ACA Office. Isn't it true that individual?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just, we have title changes, but I think you're referring to Sarah Hall Ingram, yeah.
All right, and how long has Ms. Ingram worked at the Internal Revenue Service?
I don't know the answer to that.
Our records show that she's worked there since 1982, 30 years. And prior to taking over the ACA office, what was Ms. Ingram's title?
Commissioner for the Tax-Exempt Government Entities Organization.
And this is the very organization where the targeting of conservative groups took place. Isn't that correct?
It is the organization that was the subject of the IG report that I think you're referring to.
Yes, and this is also, Ms. Ingram was also Lois Lerner's boss. Isn't that correct?
I believe for a period of time, yes.
When the targeting took place, for 2 of the 3 years that the targeting took place, according to our records. And isn't it true that Ms. Ingram was invited to be a witness at today's hearing?
That is true, yes.
And isn't it true that you called Mr. Langford and asked that she not come and that you come instead?
What I told Mr. Langford was based on the topic of this hearing, which deals with data integrity, and privacy, that I felt that Mr. Mulholland was a better technical expert because he's our Chief Technology Officer, and Miss Hall Ingram does not deal as directly in the issues of data safeguarding.
Is Miss Hall Ingram in Washington today?
Yes, she is.
So there's no family responsibilities, no health concerns, no other reason why she couldn't be here today?
I don't know about any of those situations personally.
But to your best of your knowledge, she's a few blocks away today, right?
Yeah, she's at the IRS.
Okay. And how long, and I know you've testified 5 times in front of this, or 6 times, I think you said, in front of various committees. But how long, again, have you been at the IRS?
Roughly a month and a half.
Okay.
Coming up on 2 months.
All right, we want to put on the screen here a couple slides, if we could. And just so this was a presentation given to the IRS Oversight Board May 2nd of this year. And then I want to go to page 5 because this relates directly to most of your opening statement, Mr. Werfel, where you talked extensively about 6103. But I want to read, it's maybe a little difficult. I'll read the second bullet point. The ACA added section 6103I-21 to authorize the IRS to disclose federal taxpayer information to exchanges, Medicaid, and CHIP agencies and their contractors to support income verification for ACA needs-based eligibility determinations. 6103 info is pretty important information. Isn't that correct, Mr. Werfel?
Absolutely.
Almost viewed as sacred, correct?
Within the IRS, for sure.
Yeah, in fact, you've used 6103 as a reason not to answer some of my questions I've asked you in some of those previous appearances you've had in front of this committee. And most of your testimony dealt with it. In fact, there's a story in yesterday's Washington Examiner where this was breached, and a political figure had personal information, donor information that went public according to the Inspector General. So this is important stuff. Do you know who happened to, do you know who gave this briefing to your Oversight Board on May 2nd, 2013, Mr. Werfel?
I don't know, but I'm assuming you're going to tell me.
Yeah, we are. Who do you think it is? I mean, can you hazard a guess?
If you would allow me, I think we can get to some of the points you're trying to raise. I'm not going to dispute that Ms. Hall Ingram is not integrally involved in our ACA work.
No, wait a minute, wait. What you just said a few minutes ago, maybe a minute and a half ago, was you were the person best equipped to answer our questions, even though the chairman invited Ms. Hall Ingram. And yet Ms. Hall Ingram is the very person who gave this briefing talking about 6103 information, which you highlighted in your testimony as being so darn important. So the very lady who's doing the oversight briefing to the Oversight Board, who we wanted to have come talk about this information, making sure taxpayer information was confidential, gave that briefing, you called up Chairman Langford and said, no, I don't want her to come. I'll come instead. And you've been here all of 63 days. She's been here 31 years, since 1982. In fact, she's the central figure in the two of the biggest stories in the country, the IRS targeting and the implementation of Obamacare. And these two gentlemen asked her to come, and you called up and said, nope, We don't want the lady who briefed the Oversight Board. We don't want her to come. I'll come instead and use my 63 days of expertise versus her 32 years, 31 years of expertise.
Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, Mr. Werfel has presented himself very, very competently in every hearing.
Mr. Chairman, did I yield the time? I don't think I yielded the time.
Yeah, the gentleman did not yield on it. I want the gentleman to be able to
Can I
retain the time.
respond?
Yeah, you can
and for Mr.
respond.
Werfel,
I hope you will respond.
I will respond.
Mr. Werfel, absolutely, we'll give you the time to be able to respond.
I appreciate that. First of all, Congressman, I don't agree with your characterization of the nature of my phone call with Mr. Langford and the reason why I and Mr. Milholland are sitting here today. What I feel is appropriate and what I think IRS historically feels appropriate is when there's a hearing, we balance a lot of different factors in figuring out who the best witness is to present the information to Congress. Two of those factors are accountability, and I'm the most senior accountable official within the IRS.
I understand that.
And second is technical knowledge and expertise on the subject matter. The hearing invite that we received asked us to pay particular attention on our coordination with other agencies, HHS and IRS coordinations regarding safeguards of the personal data of individuals who purchase coverage through the exchanges. So what I suggested to Mr. Langford is a combination of me, the most senior accountable official in the organization, and the Chief Technology Officer of the IRS, Mr. Milholland,
and Mr. Werfel,
provide the best input to the substantive
I get it,
content
Mr.
of
Werfel,
this hearing.
and I respect that. But if I could, Mr. Chairman, we have the minutes, we have the meeting notes from that presentation given by Ms. Hall Ingram.
She's knowledgeable on these issues. I'm saying Mr. Milholland is more knowledgeable.
Just let me read. Well, if he's more knowledgeable, why didn't he do that briefing? So let me ask you, here's what it says. Ms. Ingram discussed the security and safeguard programs at the IRS that the IRS has in place regarding sharing of data among its partners. If he's the expert, he should have done that briefing. And frankly, the chairman didn't ask for Mr. Milholland. They asked for Ms. Sarah Hall Ingram, who's head of the Affordable Care Office at the IRS. Mr. Chairman, I yield back. But, I mean, look, we got the two biggest issues, maybe the two biggest issues in the country. The lady who's at the center of the storm in both of those, we asked her to come here, and she doesn't come. Even though she's briefing everybody else on the issue, she won't come brief Congress, just like Lois Lerner won't talk to Congress.
Mr. Chairman, I have a point of inquiry.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a 5-minute limit per member. Mr. Jordan just exceeded it by 1 minute and 48 seconds. This is a hearing on evaluating privacy, security, and fraud as it relates to ACA, and this entire questioning was whether or not a particular individual should have been here versus the head of the agency. If we are going to conduct this hearing,
Mr. Chairman,
as a witch hunt—
It's not a witch hunt, Mr. Chairman.
Hold on.
Would the gentlelady yield?
No, the gentlelady has time. Hold on.
then I will object. I want this to be an oversight hearing by this committee. You have shown great leadership in this committee. I believe that what we should be doing is looking at where the holes are in terms of making sure the ACA is effective as it is rolled out, where the resources need to be employed, where there may be loopholes, where there are issues that we have to address. And that's what I hope this hearing will continue to do.
There are multiples of those.
Mr. Chairman?
I'll yield to the gentleman.
I would just ask unanimous consent to enter the meeting notes from the very meeting Ms. Hall Ingram briefed the IRS Oversight Board, specifically this sentence. Ms. Ingram discussed the security and safeguard programs the IRS has in place regarding the sharing of data among its partners, including those for ACA programs. End of story.